it would test the ability of the candidate for a job requirement. Okay. Now, any job, if you see, there are technical administrative requirements which are associated with the job. So, candidates' abilities to perform specific tasks and react to range of different situations that is being tested in the aptitude test. Now, these tests, they have standardized methods of administration and scoring. The results are quantified and compared with all other test takers, and no prior knowledge is needed as the test measure innate ability at a particular competency. Now, how does one administer the aptitude test? Now, currently, all the aptitude tests are being administered online. Most often, after a candidate has made their initial job application and are used to filter unsuitable applicants out of the selection process without the need for time-consuming one-to-one job interview. So, aptitude test, that is initial stage for entry into the job situation, or for entry into the higher education field, or for entry into the armed forces. Say armed forces also, if you want to apply for a job in Indian Navy, you can appear in the pre-final year of your B or final year of your B at what is called a services selection board interview. That interview is conducted for 7 days at a testing center. And then the battery of tests which are administered at SSB, these are types of this one what is called as aptitude test. So in the aptitude test, after the initial administration, the testing authorities, when they find a candidate is suitable, is eligible, he is selected, and other students, other candidates, if they do not score minimum marks, they are eliminated. Now the employers, okay, companies in the market, they will use different types of aptitude test. There are different service providers who conduct the aptitude test, such as SHL, TalentQ, and Cubics. Now, alongside general interview advice, application forms, assessment centers, academic results, and other selection methods. Now, any test, because if you see any test or any examination, see, it is man-made, it is designed by, you can say, the professors or professional trainers. They will design the test. So every test will have some kind of lacuna. But it is an accepted fact that so long as the reliability and validity of the test is to the extent of, say, at least 50%, the test is good. So that means when the test is administered, out of the total number of candidates who are appearing for the examination, at least 50% of them, they will qualify the test. So point which we are trying to understand, no test is perfect, but all aim to give an indication of how candidates will respond to the challenges they will face in their day-to-day role at a firm. Now, the tests can be taken online or at a testing center, such as a firm's office, where they are usually paper-based. Often a firm may ask you to complete both type of tests to confirm you did not cheat during the initial unsupervised online test. So after the online test, some companies, they may call you to appear for paper pen kind of aptitude test at their corporate office, or they may collect a group of candidates at a college or at a testing center, and then there they are made to appear again for the aptitude test, which is a repeat test similar to the first online test what you have done. Well, yes, there will be different questions, but the questions will be on the identical topics or the syllabus which has been prescribed for the test. And the second test, it is a paper and pen test. So the scores what you get on the in the online test and the second test, the testing authorities will try to uh, assess the variability among the two test scores. So first is online test score and second is this one, paper pen test. Now, if there is a great variation, like they will compute the mean score for a group of candidates, they'll compute the standard deviation, and then they will find out coefficient of variation. If the coefficient of variation is more for the first test, okay, in relation to the second test, so it means the second test will be more reliable compared to the first one. Or in the first test, there is more variation in the sense that yes, there could be reasons like connectivity problem, people are losing connection. Okay, so that's why there is more variation. The scores are widely distributed. Now let's see what are the different types of aptitude test. Now these are the most common types of aptitude test that you will encounter. First is numerical reasoning test. Second is verbal reasoning test. Then you have intro exercises, then diagrammatic test, situational judgment, inductive reasoning test, cognitive ability test, mechanical reasoning test, Watson Glasher test, abstract reasoning, spatial awareness, error checking test. So these are different types of tests. So currently when you are appearing for say GRE or TOEFL examination, see these examination, they will have all these areas covered. You will have technical areas subject to the field of specialization, and then areas on verbal reasoning, analytical ability, comprehension ability, numerical ability, graphical ability. All these areas are tested. Now let us see what is numerical reasoning test. Now numerical reasoning test, they assess one's ability to interpret the data and do basic math, including fractions, percentages, and currency translation. Verbal reasoning test assesses the ability of a candidate to comprehend passages of text and make accurate deductions. So you can say TOEFL exam or your SAS exam, Scholastic Aptitude Test, okay, SAT or SAS. Okay, now these two examinations, they test verbal reasoning. Then there are intro exercises. Now, intro exercises provide a simulation of an email inbox where you are required to respond to an imagined scenario. Often, these will be followed by an interview or presentation of an assessment center. Then next type is diagrammatic test. Now in diagrammatic test, they measure your logical reasoning ability, usually under strict time conditions. They usually require you to infer a set of rules from a flowchart or similar diagrams, and then to apply those rules to a new situation. Then situational judgment test. These are psychological tests which are required to assess the judgment of a candidate in resolving work-based problems. Now, inductive reasoning tests, these are designed to examine a candidate's abstract reasoning ability. They identify how well a candidate can see the underlying logic in patterns rather than the words or numbers. Now, if you see aptitude test and there are different types, see all of you, all of you have written that common entrance test, right? Before you join the engineering degree course 3 years back after 12th standard. So you have to write the entrance test for engineering admission. Now from this year, government has put common entrance test for pharmacy admissions also. So all these states aptitude tests what we see, you are already familiar with that. But what happens as you are growing in experience or as your field of education widens, then the complexity or the difficulty level of the aptitude test and technical test, it increases. So one has to compete all the time. One has to develop the knowledge expertise so that you are able to pass through the minimum qualifying marks in any kind of test. Now then you have cognitive ability test. Now cognitive ability test measure intelligence through logic, reasoning and problem solving exercises. Mechanical reasoning test, they will assess your ability to apply mechanical or engineering principles to problems. They are often used for technical rules. There is another test, Watson-Glasher test. Now, these tests are often used by law firms to assess a candidate's ability to critically consider arguments. Now, there are 5 types of questions. Each tests a different aspect of critical thinking, say inferences, assumptions, deductions, interpretations and evaluation of arguments. Then abstract reasoning test. Now these tests, they will use diagrams, symbols or shapes instead of words or numbers. They involve identifying the underlying logic of a pattern and then determining the solution to test general intelligence and reasoning ability. Then there is special awareness test. They assess your ability to form mental images and visualize movement or change between them. They are often used in applications for jobs in designing, engineering, and architecture. Now, error checking test. Error checking tests are usual type of aptitude test. They focus on your ability to identify errors in complex data sets such as codes or combination of alphanumeric characters. Okay, let's see uh, one interesting video on the types of
Hello.
aptitude test. Hello, yes,
Hello,
please.
sir. A few students are waiting outside. Can you let
Yeah,
them in?
yeah, 1 minute. I'll just. Okay. Is anybody waiting still? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Anyone is waiting? Everybody is in now. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, still some students are waiting.
Sir, don't know. I lost them in group.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not able to see the waiting room here. Yeah. Okay. 1 second. Yeah. Yes. Now 2 students. Yes, I got the message. They're waiting. Now they must have joined. Archana. Okay. Rahul, welcome. Yeah. Uh, okay. Yeah. Just if anybody is waiting, just tell me. We'll admit them. Okay. No problem. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Dance Academy. See, I want to show you one video how to crack an aptitude test. So let me try. Yeah, are you able to see the screen? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
let's see a short video about how to crack the aptitude test. See, all these points, try to register them at the back of your mind because you are in the pre-final year. Okay, last year will be quite hectic. You will start preparing for your GRE and TOEFL exam. Some of you would have started already for getting admissions in the Commonwealth universities or the universities in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, okay, UK, USA with assistantships or scholarships. So if you get very good score, yes, you get 50% waiver in the tuition fees. The tuition fees are very high, but even if you get 100% tuition fee waiver, see, per month you will have to spend at least, your parents would have to spend at least 1 lakh rupees on you for you to sustain in the uh, costly country environments like the educational campuses at the university. You have to account for everything, your food, your clothing, everything. Okay, so we have to get very high score in the aptitude test. And then, yes, India, if you go for MTech or this one, ME at IIT or any other engineering college which is affiliated to any other university, the education is little economical because you get 30,000 scholarship. So ME also nowadays fees are anywhere in the range of say minimum 1 lakh to 2 lakh per year, okay, per year. So ME cost, the cost is 3 to 4 lakh, okay, for 2 year program. But if you suppose take the cost of 4 lakh and you qualify gate examination, see nowadays non-zero fine, but the rules keep on changing every year. So we must prepare for the technical test and aptitude test. So India suppose ME cost is 4 lakh for 2 years, okay, and you get the scholarship of 30,000. So 2 years you get the scholarship, total amount it is 7,20,000. Okay, so your cost of 4 lakh is recovered, and whatever pocket money expenses you require, remaining 7,20,000. Okay, you have, we are earning, that is also covered. Your hostel fees or your books, stationery, whatever, travel, okay, presentation of papers, okay, then printing, writing the project work and thesis, everything is covered on that. Okay, now let me see if some people are waiting. We'll admit them, and then we will start the video. Okay, shall I start the video now? Hello.
Yeah, sir, let's go. I have been uploading videos about about my experiences at interviews at various companies, and I seemed like you guys are loving those videos. I got a good response from those videos, and so thought of making a whole series of all the things that you need to know about while you are waiting for interviews, starting from the first round to the last round of any interview process. Now, the thing is that there are a lot of channels which have who has already done this. Now, what is the difference? What will be the difference between those channels and my channel? Those channels are the channels from which I also basically learned, because before going into an interview, I searched for stuffs and learned from there. The thing is that those things actually didn't work for me. So I'm not actually defaming anyone, but the thing is that just giving a clear fact of what happened. Like those channels teach you something. Like for example, a very brief example would be like, tell me about yourself. They tell you something like these are the particular set of lines that you need to include in your tell me about yourself, and if you do that, you'll be rocking that answer. But thing is that it doesn't always happen the same way. It might have worked for those guys who are teaching those things, might have worked for them, but there's no guarantee that it will work wonders for you also. The reason is that that channel is saying you something, is making you learn something, to say the thing in a very particular way. Now 50,000 students are seeing the same video, and they are tell me about yourself in the same manner. Now just imagine you are the structure of tell me about yourself, the answer from like 300 students in one interview. Just imagine. Then it's very obvious that you'll be getting annoyed by that answer, right? You'll be getting irritated. The same happens over there also. If every student starts telling the same structured answer, then it's very obvious that they will really, they will obviously guess that you have learned it from someone.
Are you able to hear the voice? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
From a very single source, and everyone is telling the same way. So it doesn't create your own impression actually. It creates a rather it creates a brand impression, a negative one. So I will be making these videos not to make you learn what to say, but to make you learn how to manage those questions. Because any interview process, most of the questions are asked not to know what you are going to say, but to see whether you are able to manage the question in the right way or not. So I thought of making the whole series. So starting with the first one, obviously in every company that you appear, aptitude test is the first one that you need to go through. Maybe it can be written test, or you have your pen and paper, or it can be online. Like all of the aptitude tests that I gave was online. Nowadays it's all online. So now what is an aptitude test basically? It consists of 3 or 4 different parts, consisting of the very important thing is the quantitative aptitude itself. Like it's basic mathematics, consisting of all the syllabus like that was in your class 10 standard, all the things, basically all the things, not differentiation and calculus, leaving that aside, every like probability, problems on clocks, calendar, and all of those things are packed together. And then you have the logical reasoning, then puzzles, and then some technical questions in some of the interviews. So nothing is that how you're going to prepare for that and why this aptitude test is taken. First, I will tell you like why this aptitude test is held. What is the reason behind this? Does the test like whether you can solve simple sums? No, obviously not. They won't be giving you simple sums. They might look like simple, but the procedures are quite long if you do it in the primary way, like the way you were taught in your school. If you do it in that way, you will be able to solve those questions, but one question will be taking a lot of time. So you don't want that because in aptitude test you are like given like 1 minute for every question, I guess. That is the on an average basis. In some companies it is even lesser. In some companies you might get 2 minutes for every question. So aptitude test is basically to judge your problem solving attitude, whether you are able to solve the problems in a faster way, in a quicker way than all of your competitors. That is the thing that is tested over there. Like what happens with many of the people, any of the nervous people, what happens with them is that whenever they come across a question, even before solving that question, they start to get nervous, like whether I'll be able to solve it or not. And that panic attack, kicks you out of the aptitude round then and then only. Because if you start panicking seeing the questions, maybe you are able to solve that, you will be able to derive those things, you'll be getting the answer maybe, but your nervousness is restricting, will be restricting you from doing those questions. Like I have seen this happening with many of my classmates. So now the thing is that without aptitude test, you won't be able to go further deep into any of the interview rounds in any of the companies. So be very careful with this aptitude round. Now, how are you going to crack this aptitude round? It's a very simple procedure, I would say, because me myself, I did this procedure. I'm sharing what I have experienced. Like, go through these steps. I guarantee, if you are a good student and if you can understand the things very well, then you will be cracking every aptitude test that you are actually appearing for. First, let me clear one thing that I was not able to, crack one of the aptitude tests. The first company that I appeared for, I wasn't able to crack it, and then in every of the companies that I appeared for, like 5 or 6 of them, I was able to crack the aptitude part at least. Like yes, I was above that. I crossed that. The thing is that what I did was that you have to do. I mean, I followed these 3 basic things. Like first of all, I followed a book. I'll be showing you the book later in the video. The second thing is that I studied the things. I learned the procedure of doing those maths from a particular YouTube channel that is careernight.com. I'll be showing you the link over here. So if you go to the careernight.com, you'll be finding a lot of the links, a lot of videos, 1 hour, maybe exceeding 1 hour videos. And if you watch even one of those videos, you will understand why I'm recommending this channel. This is not a paid, promotion or something. I basically, got benefited from this channel, so I'm sharing my positive review against this unbiased review, basically. And then the second thing is, sorry, the third thing is gigs for gigs. I went to that website. That website helped me, master my technical skills and also some puzzle skills. Puzzles are really difficult to solve, but if you solve at least, more than half a portion of the puzzles that is available on gigs for gigs, I guarantee you will be able to know. What happens with puzzles is that the more you do it, you get the mechanism of doing it, the way by which you will be getting into the answer. So study those puzzle questions, solve them from gigs for gigs, and also your technical questions from gigs for gigs, and you will really get benefited from that. And check out that YouTube channel that is careernight.com. I will drop the link in the description below also, and about the book. So this is the book that I used to study from. Actually, this is so heavy, right? Don't get scared. I didn't complete the whole of it, not even half of it. It consists of 3 levels, like level 1, level 2, and level 3. Like this is the cover page, and this is quantitative aptitude by Kiran. You can find it online, and if I find the link to this, I'll be dropping it in the description below. So there was 3 levels of it. The first level is the easy one, the second level is the harder one, and third level I didn't even get there. I didn't even see the questions of the third level. But what happened? When I was solving these questions, I could have solved the first part easily. If I knew the concept, I would have solved it. But it would have taken a lot of time for me to solve. Now, that was the thing that I need to correct. So I went to careerguide.com because in careerguide.com there are a lot of procedures, a lot of steps by which you will be able to solve a long question in a very in like 2 or 3 steps. Or by looking at the question, you'll be able to say the answer. How will be doing it? You'll be able to say that. So careerguide helped me increase my speed actually in completing these questions. So this book was giving me the questions. Careerguide.com gave me the way of doing it. And after seeing careerguide.com multiple times, I was able to solve a lot of the questions, and it became really easy for me to solve all those questions. Now, what happened? Now, this was for the quantitative aptitude part, and also the logical reasoning questions are also in careerguide.com. But I wasn't that much good at logical reasoning. I didn't do much of the questions from logical reasoning. Just a few of them, just a few basic concepts. I cleared them. It was okay for me. And from these topics, I did my technical part, as I said earlier. So this is the whole thing that I did, and it took me like 3 months to get master everything what I said till now, like the quantitative aptitude part, the basic mathematics, the logical reasoning, not that much, and then the technical part, and also the puzzles. So these are the four things that you need to be fluent enough, and obviously in the basic mathematics part and in the technical part, these two are the main one, and then comes the logical reasoning and the puzzles. You have to be very fluent in this stage of your interview, otherwise you won't be able to crack any further of the rounds, you won't be able to go for any further rounds. So now the thing is that from when will you start studying this aptitude part, like from second year, like from third year, when will you start? Well, I started it from the semester break after sixth semester. Yeah, after sixth semester, I got the semester break. I started studying from there on, and it took me 3 months from that semester break. So in the first one or two of the interviews, it was difficult for me to crack the questions because I studied a lot of things, but I have a tendency to forget things, to forget what I learned. So I had to get them clear by watching the same video again and again. So overall, it took me 3 months. It can be lesser for you, it can be greater for you, the number of days that you need to study, depending on your ability. So this is the thing that helped me crack every of the aptitude tests that I appeared for. And this is the thing that I will also suggest you, because these three things will help you crack any of the interviews, any of the aptitude rounds in any of the interviews. So I'll be making videos on the further rounds of the interview process that you will go through, and be sure that you don't miss them by hitting the subscribe button and also the bell notification.
Yes, how was the video? Did you like it? Hello? Hello? How was the?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. See
Yes, sir.
this video link, I'll be posting in the handout. So don't worry. It will be there in the handout, the video link. Okay. Now, most of the IT firms, if you see, they lay focus on verbal reasoning, this one, verbal reasoning aptitude test. So how do we attempt this question? So let us see another video on that. That link also will be shared to you in the handout on aptitude test. So let's see another video on verbal reasoning test. Yeah, are you able to hear the sound and then the music? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this free live session exclusively brought to you by Talent Sprint. And I'm glad that most of you have chosen to take the time to join us today for this session, where we're going to be focusing on some challenging questions from the verbal ability section, which you can definitely expect to get in any of your IT recruitment drives. Now, for those of you who've been part
Hello, sir. The voice is not audible.
Any question? Is anyone waiting in the waiting room?
Actually, sir, the voice was not audible.
Okay, okay, okay. Let us try. Let me increase the voice and okay, just 1 second. Is the voice
verbal ability section.
is the voice audible now? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Before I share the presentation with the questions, when it comes to the verbal ability section, one of the things is, if you ask me, every question is challenging one way or the other to different people, right? For some of you, sentence improvement might be a challenging question type. For some of you, spot the error might be a challenging question type. For few others, vocabulary based questions, right? Idioms and phrases, synonyms, antonyms, spellings, so things like that. So we just want to look at, is there a way in which we can approach these questions differently, right? Is there some strategy that we can fall back, especially spellings, right? Most of your vocabulary based questions, either you know the answer or you don't know the answer. That's how it is. If you know the answer, you're attempt it. If you don't know the answer, you're going to move forward. But if there is a strategy or a concept that I can still apply and maximize my chances of scoring that extra mark, why not, right? So that's what this session is about. Do you know that this is also a way in which you can approach this question, right? That's what I'm going to share with you this evening. So we'll get started. Let me share the presentation. And if you have any questions, stop me. Otherwise, we'll just move forward. Yeah? So one of the first question types that we have with us is, if you look at it, you know it's a, let's read the directions. It says, 4 words are given out of which only 1 word is spelled correctly. Choose the correctly spelled word and click the button corresponding to it. So, I mean, we just have to choose the one that is correctly spelled. So 4 words given. This is one pattern where I have different words in the options. Sometimes you'll have a pattern where it's the same word but just spelled differently, right? All the 4 options are the same word but spelled differently. So for a question type like this, what do? You either know it or you don't know it, right? You know the spelling of this word or you don't know it. But I would like to introduce to you something called the syllable breakup. Right? What's this? Let me put it down. SYLLABLE. What's a syllable? Anybody? Pragya, Arun, Muthu. What's a syllable? A syllable is basically one vowel sound. Right? We know our vowels. A, E, I, O, U. We are aware of our vowels. So one syllable. So we have words with 1 syllable, we have words with 2 syllables, 3 syllables, 4 syllables, right? So can you give me examples of, let's say, 1 syllable? Let's just have a basic understanding of what I'm trying to convey here first before we get to the strategy. 1 syllable. Bill, right? There's just 1 syllable in it. Web. Can you think of words? Just 1 syllable. Stop. Right? All 1 syllables. You have the vowel sounds there in all of these words. 2 syllables. 0. Paper. Right? 1, 2. 1, 2. Any other words that you can think of? Baby. 1, 2. Yeah, 3 syllables. Hi Raj. We just started. We're looking at spellings, this question type, and I'm sharing with you a different approach that you can take. Three syllables. Think of words. Industry. Okay, I picked a wrong color. Conference. Right? You have 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Optional. Right? 1, 2, 3. What about 4 syllables? Citizenship. Four syllables. Comfortable. Right? Introduction. Other words just giving you. There are also words with 5 syllables, right? Qualification. Right? Or certification. Right? So you have an idea when I say syllable breakup, right? This is what I mean by it. So with the given words, what you can also do is you can apply syllable, each vowel sound. So let's take the first word, debilitate. So let's break up that word, okay? So I have de, bill, it, tate. 4 syllables. Impeccable. Let's break it down. Im, peck, bill. Impeccable, right? Each vowel sound, impeccable. Inculcate, inculcate. This inculcate is like cultivate or cooperate with a C and not with a K. Harass, right? Harass. It's not, in fact, British way it's pronounced harassed, but still you don't have 2R. So if these are the words given, so one of the things that you need to be familiar with is how many syllables, the vowel sounds in each word. That will also help. So given the thing here, we are looking at which one is spelled correctly. Out of the 4 options, except for the first option, all the other options are wrongly spelled. This is one approach that you can take, syllable breakup, looking at the vowel sounds. Okay, so impeccable, you need 2 C's here. Inculcate, I don't need a K, I need a C. Sometimes you might be familiar with some words, so it'll be easy for you. Harass, again, you don't need 2 R's, right? There you go. Let's look at another option, which is, this one is where it's the same word, it's spelled differently. Pious. Now, in the first one, what we saw is syllable breakup. But the second one, what I want to introduce to you is something called being able to identify common prefixes and suffixes. That will also help us in spellings. So from the word, can you identify which is a common prefix or suffix? OUS, right? That's the common suffix. We have a lot of words that end with OUS, like delicious, fabulous, adventurous, malicious, right? A lot of words. So if you dissect the word pie, again, it's 2 syllables, and we know that this is the only one that is correctly spelled. It's not pios, option 2. It's not pie as in apple pie or cinnamon pie, and it's not pios, the 4th one. So these 2 options you can apply for spellings. One is being able to identify common prefixes, suffixes, or using the syllable breakup approach. But something else that you need to do in addition to this is definitely get into the habit of writing, right? Another way to remember spellings is to also write, because when we visualize words, it's easier for us to retain, especially new and unfamiliar words that you come across, right? That's the only way you can remember spellings. But for the most part, I know that most of us skip these questions because we either know the spelling or we don't know the spelling. But these are 2 things which you can use in terms of your practice. While you take time to practice, try and apply these 2 strategies, which is the syllable breakup or being able to identify common prefixes and suffixes. But as a general habit that you can cultivate is to write, right? Visualize the word. That's the only way you can remember spellings. Okay, let's look at another question type. Spot the error. We're familiar with this direction. So there's a sentence that's divided into 4 parts, and we just have to figure out which part has the error, right? So let's look at it again. Researchers at the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, are mapping India's solar hotspots where round the year sunlight makes it viable of companies to set up solar power plants. So in this sentence, one of the things that we need to work on is to be able to identify clue words in the context. So let's go part by part. Part A, researchers were at, specifying the place, okay? What are they doing? Researchers. So we're talking about more than one researcher. So plural subject, plural verb are is fine. Are mapping India's solar hotspots where round the year sunlight makes it viable. So this is a pronoun connecting, where they're doing it. Viable of, now our clue word again is right here, viable, right? So you, for spot the error, there are so many types of errors that you should be familiar with. But if you have practiced enough, you will be able to quickly identify that the error is in part D. Why? Because viable is followed by of, but usually viable is followed by either to or for. Right? Let's look at some example sentences. You can also contribute and give some example sentences. First of all, for those of you who don't know what viable means, it means possible to use or apply, or capable of being done or used. Now, apply this meaning back to the context. So, researchers at the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, are mapping India's solar hotspots where round-the-year sunlight makes it viable, makes it possible for the companies to set up solar power plants. So, the right collocation that has to go with viable in the given context is for and not of, right? Sorry about that. Viable for. So it's important for us to be familiar with, these sort of collocations. Any questions that any of you have? For spot the error type of questions, I think if you are familiar with as many error types, right? Prepositional errors, pronoun related errors, certain basic rules like subject verb agreement rules, or what word goes with what word in terms of verb plus preposition collocations, noun plus adjective collocations, things like that, it becomes easier to approach this sort of a question type and answer the question. Yeah? Let's move to our next question type. A double blank. Fill in the blanks. Fill in the blanks. I personally feel that it's easier for us to figure out the word because there's a context, right? The context will always have clues. So we can always apply context clues. So couple of things, if you've been a part of my earlier sessions, you know that not just context clues, also collocations, which is nothing but associated words that go together, right? If the context is giving you a positive or negative meaning. So things like that you can quickly apply and figure out the answer. So it says, indeed, in the industries and regions hit hardest by import competition, years of discontent have now dashed over, fueling support for populists promising to roll back globalization. So we understand that the context is giving us a negative meaning, and if you look at the options, pretty much everything is negative. But in order to identify collocations, it's important for us to pay attention to words surrounding the blank, right? Years of discontent. So which means here, I need a word describing discontent. I need an adjective here. And here, over. I need a phrasal verb, basically a verb plus over is a preposition, right? Verb plus preposition. A phrasal verb is what I need. Now looking at the options, let's go backwards from the second blank. What's the word from my second option that I can quickly combine with over, which I might already be familiar with? Is it contraction over, boiled over, surrogate over, modulation over, or mutation over? If you look at all your second options, everything is most of it, at least 3 out of 5 options are nouns. It ends with tion. So what's the option that we need? We need a verb. What about surrogate? Anybody can tell me what word class it is? It's also a noun, which means the only verb that is there is boiled. That's the only verb. Boiled over, right? If a situation of feeling boils over, which means people cannot control their anger and start to fight or argue. That's what it means. So given the context, that is our right option, right? Let me give you an example. If I say racial tensions in the area were boiling over. Right? Are you following? So if you are familiar with, so here we applied a little bit of word class, right? What word do we need? Do I need an adjective? Do I need an adverb? Do I need a noun? Do I need a verb? That's what we did here. A little bit of collocations, a little bit of word class. So indeed in the industries and regions hit hardest by import competition, years of simmering. For those of you who don't know the meaning of simmering, anybody wants to give it a try? Simmering means basically you're filled up with pent up emotion. That's what simmering is. The simmering discontent boiled over makes absolute sense. Yeah. So indeed, in the industries and regions hit hardest by import competition, years of simmering discontent have now boiled over, fueling support for populists promising to roll back globalization, and that's our answer. So fill in the blanks, again, reiterating that what you need to work on is making sure you have the right strategies in place and you keep applying them, whether it's context clues, collocations, positive, negative meaning, or word class. Are you following? Okay. Let's move on. Okay, so let's look at our next question type, which is, we obviously know this is a jumble sentence, right? There are different patterns. This is one pattern where we already have the starting sentence and the closing sentence, and then there are options jumbled in between. We'll have to figure out. Now, for this sort of a question type, what I would suggest you do is always keep looking at the options, right? Try and eliminate wrong answer options immediately as soon as you figure out what can be the starting sentence. Now, if you look at the sentence one, it says the cooperative system of doing business is a good way of encouraging ordinary workers to work hard. So the context is probably going to revolve around doing business. That seems like our central idea, right? Now, out of P, Q, R, and S, which is the one that I can quickly connect to the central idea? If the society is still well run, they get this, who's it they? To a large extent, many corporates need advice. Why? And another thing is you constantly keep asking questions. Now, if you look at S, it says the capital necessary to start a business venture. So, keeping in line with the central idea or the theme, S seems to be the logical sequence that will follow. And if you look at the options, I have two options starting with S. I'll immediately eliminate 2 and 4. And then I'm only going to focus on whether it's SQ or SR. Let's look at it. The capital necessary to start a business venture is obtained by the workers' contributions, right? Now, the workers' contribution is how? Through what? It's basically looking at Q or R. Q says they get this from. So, who's the they? I don't have, I could probably relate it to workers' contribution, but at the same time, right? They've introduced the workers here. And if you look at P, it says, if the society of well run is necessary to prevent insolvency of officials. So I can quickly relate workers to they, right? They get this from experienced and professional workers. So SQ seems to be our quick fit. So how do I quickly eliminate wrong answer options and get to the right option immediately? One way is to keep looking at the options. The second one is to try and connect the
See this second video also, the link is already there. Okay, the link is there in the handout, so you can try watching these videos. Okay, they are very interesting. And then I think we're almost reaching end of the time. So any doubts? What's the time now? Is the time up or still some time is there? Hello? Hello? Okay, 2 minutes.
The time is up.
Yeah. Okay, so if you have any doubts, you can ask. So today we have seen, see this part in your syllabus. We have seen the verbal aptitude test, and I mentioned that verbal aptitude tests are there in your GRE TOEFL exam, GMAT exam if you're going for MS or MBA program abroad, or CAT exam, which is conducted by Indian Institutes of Technologies. So how to crack the aptitude tests, that becomes an important part. You have to work on the aptitude test, you have to solve the questions, you have to develop the speed. But as we saw, you must be very clear on your quantitative aptitude in the first video. So basically what you are going to, what you have learned from your 11th standard FIGC science, 12th SYGC science, and all the first 7 semesters of your engineering, okay, technical subjects, all the concepts you should be quite clear about it. Okay, so if you do that, so all of you start practicing. See, a lot of free aptitude tests are available on the internet. So when you get free time, okay, just browse through some of the technical aptitude tests pertaining to your discipline of electronics and telecommunication engineering, and try joining them. Okay. Now, Shivam, I got a message on the group that you have been elected as the student council member, right? So, Shivam, am I right?
Yes,
You
sir.
are. So, you start the video. We'll congratulate you. We are very happy that you are leading your batch. Okay, and you are member of the student council. Okay, so let's congratulate Shivam. Okay, it's a very important achievement, or what, some kind of additional feather in your cap. But then, yes, it comes with responsibilities also. So I think today's lecture we will conclude.
So
Yeah.
there's an interview round remaining. So after that, you can like congratulate me.
Okay, okay. No, you will get through. I think all our friends in the class, yeah, please help him to qualify. Okay. So you will get through. Don't worry. Okay. So let's pray to God that interview you will clear. Yes. Now Priyanshu
Thank you, sir.
says वो भी भाई clear हो जाएगा. So don't worry.
Thank you,
Okay.
Priyanshu.
So we will meet on Thursday again. I'll be posting the handout for today's session in the classroom. Okay, what we have discussed, and then the video links are also there at the on the last page of the handouts. You please see these videos. Not only these, you can see other videos also, and then try attempting the technical aptitude test, which are available freely on different websites. Okay, try practicing that, because when you go for online examination, it does require some kind of practice because it's a separate environment altogether. So see you then. Shall I end the call now? Hello? Shall we conclude the session? We meet next Saturday.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Bye.
sir.